Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Built by Bailey's YouTube channel. Doing a live stream this afternoon again on the same topic: how to become a licensed general contractor. I'm gonna try and run this. I'll do a as people pop in here. I can do some Q&A as well, but I'll do this as like a 20-25 minute spiel on kind of the layout of what it takes to get into the industry, and then move towards licensure and at some point running your own company if you want to even do that. You don't have to own your own construction business or home building business. If you're a licensed contractor, you can certainly work for somebody else. You can work for a big builder. You can work for a small custom builder. Excuse me. Um, you can do lots of different things. It doesn't mean you have to be an entrepreneur, but a lot of the people in my industry end up kind of moving that direction once they get licensed. I mean, a lot of my channel is based on entrepreneurship and running your own businesses. So that's where my heart lies, obviously. But you can certainly work for somebody else. A lot of those big builders actually look for someone that is licensed to put them in a supervisory role. It certainly is ideal for them, and it definitely helps them because you have a very good understanding of how to build homes at that point. You've passed your test. So, um, sorry, I'm really thirsty today. I'm actually kind of thought about maybe doing a quick day in the life of just based on the week that I had, and now that I'm chugging a bubbly, trying to get rehydrated. I did not do a good job of drinking a bunch of water today, so that is one aspect of the business that is a little tricky at times to find time, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about that as well, just as far as how the business goes, what to expect. Are you cut out for it? We've kind of talked about that in the past a little bit, but um, yeah, brief day in the life today. Just understanding what a general contractor does. Today, I started early. I've got some other, well, shall we call them endeavors and other businesses that I run as well. So I get up, get in front of those early. I have lots of different things that I do include trading stocks and options. So I get in front of that early, look at my portfolios, jump in front of my email, respond to any missed calls that I had the night before. This business is funny because I think probably this and real estate are the two businesses that seem to levy more of a I'm working all the time kind of mentality. And what I mean by that is people that you have as clients as a builder or remodeling contractor. Obviously, this is not what they do for a profession, blah, blah, blah. But they're hiring you to do work in their home, or they're hiring you to build a home. Now, with that being said, these same people have their own jobs, and they go off and do their thing during the day, and they don't have as much time to be in front of you as you're doing work for them until they get home from work and things settle down for them. And now they have time to kind of communicate with you. Well, my day's over. I'm wrapping up around 6:30. I'm getting home. Usually I got a home office. I'm usually, trying to catch up on stuff. I've got my family to deal with, but that's when the clients will call you, right? And this is kind of tying into the day in life, but they call you either really early in the morning or in the evenings when you're kind of trying to get your day settled down. And that creates a hard dynamic. And that's why I've been preaching for a while with people that are getting into the home building business, wanting to be general contractors. How to run the business part is the trickiest part because they're generally not business minded people that get into this business, if that makes sense. And they have to learn the dynamics behind all of these weird, tricky scenarios. And there's a slippery slope when it comes to dealing with clients. Usually with people, the more slack you give them on a rope, the more they're going to pull, right? And if you continually allow people to call you at 6:37, 8 o'clock at night, or 5 or 6 in the morning, and I encourage you to get on a schedule where you get up early because it'll help, and you can certainly do it. Don't worry. But if you don't establish that dynamic and say there's only a certain number of hours in the day I'm going to allow business to transpire, at least with the phone and with clients, they're going to abuse that, and they'll be calling you and texting you at all hours of the day. And that makes it really difficult. And again establishes this dynamic where it's okay when it's not. It's really not, and you have to have your own time too. So you just establish those rules ahead of time. And over the years, I've learned how to do that and how to do it eloquently and you know rigidly, so my clients understand. Listen, these are the times you can get a hold of me. I know that impacts your day, but every other business is that way. You don't go see the dentist at 9:30 at night, right? You don't go to the doctor at 6 o'clock in the morning unless it's like a surgery or something. But for the most part, just general checking up and stuff isn't performed at the time when you don't have to go to work. And I know there's an inconvenience there, but at the same time, that's why you're hiring me to do the work. And if you're hiring a general contractor to do work for you, you're trusting them. So a lot of that has to be allowed. Now, the other part of that I do, and part of what I do during the day, is try and over communicate as much as possible to my clients, and really, 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 really kind of beat in exactly what's happening, um, exactly what's going on during the day and during the week, so they don't have as many questions to ask you before and after hours, right? And it kind of keeps them at bay as far as bothering, or bothering is probably the wrong word, but as far as invading your time. You want to make sure that those things are kept in check, but you can do that by communication. And a lot of it has to be written, because you want to make sure, and not to say that you can't trust people, but you want to make sure that things are in writing. So if there is miscommunication or a he said, she said kind of thing, misunderstanding of what needs to be done or changed, there's a lot of changes that happen in my business, that it's in writing, it's documented, so you can go back and reference it if needed. Again, if you're doing enough of the communication up front and well, at least the beginning of the day and throughout the week, then you don't have to worry about some of the other things that come on that end, and you can keep your clients at bay, so to speak. I do like to send out emails at least once a week. I usually do it several times a week. That is part of what I do when I start my morning. Then I get into phone calls once my hour, like my opening starts. I'll start getting returning phone calls and doing, that kind of stuff. And then once I get through kind of office time, which has to be allocated at least couple times a week, I'm off to job sites. I currently have several projects going. They're all of different sizes and origins and all kinds of stuff. Everything's different. And some of it's, in the works kind of stuff. It's pre-construction kind of things that I'm dealing with too. And those need to be handled earlier in the day. So once I get through that, then I'm off the job sites. I'm checking on crews. I'm checking on subcontractors. Today, so to speak, and actually a couple days this week, I literally brought my tool belt with me, and I went in and I'm doing some of the work because I'm either strapped for help or this is just some of the stuff that I need to be doing. You don't necessarily have to do that. Paper contractors are the ones that have the most business most of the time. It doesn't necessarily mean that they can't do the work. But another caveat of this business is assuming, since I'm a licensed general contractor, I will do all the work and I can do all the work. And you can't be a jack of all trades in any business. But I'll go in and I'll do work that I like to do and that I need to do when needed. And the rest is left up to the trade experts. That's why you have a master electrician on in your back pocket, as one of your subcontractors, a master plumber, licensed HVAC contractor, licensed roofer. These are specialties for a reason. Just like any business, just like in medicine, you have specialties in all, practitioners, and all practices. Sorry, this is part of the day as my brain's winding down, and it's only 2:30 to me. So I've got a lot of afternoon work I got to get in front of as well. So off the job sites, checking on things today. Like I said, and a couple of days before that, I was actually doing some work. Once that's wrapped up, if the client's there, I talk with them. Again, communication, over communicating is key. And then it's just popping in, making sure if there's stuff missing, if there's materials we need, if there's guys that, have to do a change order, I make sure I make notes of that on site, so forth. So it's it's a variable job. There's a lot of variety to it. There's a lot of things that happen during the day, and you have to have a mindset of being able to absorb a lot of information very quickly and being able to translate that information into making that actually turn around and produce. And that's why I'm always telling guys, either carry around a tablet of some sort, iPad, whatever, or sometimes I only have a pad of paper with me, but you always have that with you. So you're taking notes, you're taking pictures, you're writing things down, because you're going to forget if you don't do that. And that stays ahead of all of those different things that change and progress during a project. And then make sure that you don't miss something when you're communicating to your clients. If you're working with clients, that's over communicated as well. So they see that you're still on top of it and they won't ask the questions when you roll your eyes and say, we've already talked about it. So, um, that being said, that's kind of been, my last few weeks. I have been heavy into the remodel business for many years. I do build homes. I do spec homes as well. Spec homes are homes that I personally build, finance, and then sell just as any normal home would sell, like a production builder would do, with no client involved. I build it the way I want to build it, based on a general population of people looking at it. I do have some sort of specialties, which we can probably talk about in a minute too, that kind of run through that. So I do that. I do custom homes for the people. But it sounds like there's a lot of things going on there, and in order to kind of understand how this business goes, you have to understand that, just like anything else, you have to be very careful when you're jumping into this. When you get your license and let's say you started your own business, you got to make sure that you don't just take everything out there. And right now in this industry, there's more work than anyone can handle. You literally don't even have to go out and look for it right now. It's just phone call after phone call. If you've built your business for a good number of years to this point, and you have great referral networks, then I'm sure your phone is blowing up all over the place right now, because referral business is, on top of anything else, the best way to continue to grow and have business. And that's why, it's important to take every job seriously and make sure, even if it's small or big, that you're doing it consistently the same way. And again, communication, making sure your clients getting what they need, and being relatable is really important. But you have to make sure you're not just taking everything that's handed to you. Learning to say no in this business is very important. What's up, JD? How are you? Let's see what you got for me, man. I'm gonna put my glasses on because my eyes are tired today. So I'm gonna give them a rest from this screen. What's your biggest challenge when you started? Gosh, biggest challenge. I think one of them would be, just like I said, understanding the business side of things. And I came from a business background. I have a undergrad degree in business management. It's not like I was completely oblivious to how businesses are run. I had a real estate business going when I got into construction, or got back into construction, shall we say. But my biggest challenge was, like I was just talking about, is finding a specialty or find things that you're good at. You're not going to be good at everything in this business. Maybe you're really good at remodeling historic homes. Maybe you're really good at just building new ones and you stay away from remodeling completely. Um, Maybe it's just the small jobs and you're actually really good at just working by yourself and a couple guys. But figuring out your specialty is important. And I honestly think, now I think about it going back, I think I really struggled with that, because I didn't really know what I was specializing in. I liked a lot of different aspects of the business. I was exposed coming up through high school and college. I was exposed to a lot of different trades and aspects of the business, anywhere from small remodel jobs all the way up to doing work on production homes, and just literally just blowing and going through production homes, anywhere from just framing them to doing plumbing. So I just kind of just took on anything that was, of interest. Or at the beginning, you're trying to grow a business, so you're taking all the business, and that challenge came to, I need to make money to survive, obviously, and to grow. So you're just grabbing at everything and realizing I wasn't good at all that stuff. And now that I've, decade deep into this or more, gosh, it's been 11 years now, I guess. So anyway, I realized I didn't establish a specialty to begin with, like, just sticking with specific things that you want to do. And like I said, there's lots of aspects of the business is important, because you're going to get lost. You're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to overhire. And understanding, if you get into the specialty part of it, understanding where to staff and where not to, and do you need it or not. And like I've preached many times in business in general, you need to be able to do every aspect of the business, like understand how to do it, but you shouldn't be doing every aspect of the business. And when you're first starting out, that's how you get to know all of it. The things you don't know, you'll learn. But at some point, you got to be able to pass things off and delegate. I'm not a good delegator. I've come to be good at it, but at the beginning I struggled with that as well. And being able to delegate in this business is really good. Even if you have no employees and you're just running subcontractors and you're handling the work that the subcontractors are not, if you can't delegate work to the subcontractors and you're micromanaging them, then one, you have the wrong guys involved, and two, you're going to get overwhelmed with work and not get caught up on all the other important things like bookkeeping, accounting is important, invoicing, all that stuff. If you don't invoice, you don't get paid. And then, along with that, you're going to start losing customer satisfaction because you're not paying attention to all the details. You're going to get overwhelmed very, very quickly. Like I said, especially in this market, with all the work that's going on, if you just grab at everything that comes at you, there's no way you can keep up, and you'll get destroyed. And like I've said before, businesses don't fail in bad economies; they fail in good economies, and that's a fact because you get overwhelmed. You don't know how to run things. If you can survive in a bad economy where business is slow, and all of your processes are in place correctly, and they're well oiled and ready for a lot of work, then you won't get overwhelmed moving forward. I know it's a long-winded answer, but I struggle with that early. Those points I certainly struggle with early, and I was very close to dying out, within a couple of years. Um, but yeah, licensure, becoming a general contractor in general, there are every state's different. So, like here in Colorado, we don't have a state licensure program for general contractors. We do for plumbers and electricians. Everything else is by building municipality, so building departments across the state. Um, yeah, no problem, man. We've got. I'm trying to remember how many states do it this way. It's all about revenue. Like that's why states decide to do that. Like in California, I know for a fact because I've done work out there. It's a state licensure. However, the certification process is exactly the same because it's ICC certification. So you have to go through ICC and pass your test to move into applying for your license. But in California, you would take that, that ICC certification and that pass test, and you'd hand it in, and they'd give you a state license. You pay your fee. Here in Colorado, I got to go to every building department that I'm going to do work in for whatever municipality it is, city, town, county, whatever, and hand them, that plus my insurance, and then pay my license fee. Those all come due within a year to 3 years, depending on the building department that's issuing it. But like I said, ICC is across the board as far as the certification process goes. And every building department requires different documentation along with the ICC test in order to get licensed. For example, City of Denver, you've got to have minimum work experience. A lot of the cities and towns actually have that. And you have to provide that per notarized letters from the builder that you worked for, description of what you did, references. It's very similar to like real estate, but much more intense. Some municipalities just require, honestly, there's a few out here still that don't require ICC certification. They just require insurance, certificate of insurance, which with whatever limits they're requiring on that, and they'll hand you a license. That's kind of falling by the wayside, but for the most part, that's kind of how it goes. So kind of understand the state that you're in and understand what they require. It may be municipality to municipality or maybe a state license. But either way, the step one is going to the ICC certification. And actually, I do have this up here. Let's see, share this. Yeah, so this is the ICC website that you'll need to go to. It'll actually give you a list of places you can go take the test too, but it'll give you a kind of a rundown of what to expect. They do a pretty decent job of kind of explaining things, before you take the exam day, what to bring, what you need. Right now, there's obviously COVID protocols still in place. Anyway, and then after the exam, what you do with that license. And again, like I just talked about, it explains, depending on what state you are going to do work in, how that's going to look once you pass the test. I do think, yeah. So I do recommend starting in this business There are people that have tried to go through this test without a lot of actual physical experience in the field building and remodeling homes. I don't recommend that you do that. Are there people out there that can memorize a bunch of information, process it long and take a test? Yes, I actually have friends and family that can do that. But that's you're going to get lost just because you have this in front of you and you have a certification doesn't mean on the job training is to be thwarted and thrown away. It's gonna come back to bite you in the ass. Trust me. If you don't have a lot of experience actually in the field doing this on different levels, and like I said, running a business, you have to understand how to do all aspects of the business. You don't have to be good at all of them, but you have to understand how to do them in order to delegate. You can't delegate if you don't know what you're delegating to. I mean, it's pretty common sense. But again, going back to this, it does talk about what you're going to need to expect for each test, different ICC certifications that are here for the general contracting light or certification. There are 3 levels: C, B, and A. C is strictly residential construction. It allows for the erection and remodeling of 1 and 2 family dwellings up to 3 stories, I believe, in most. Now, again, that could change depending on your state too, but per ICC, up to 3 stories. Um, and that's the lowest of the 3 general contracting certifications. Then you go into building contractor B. I believe C and B are the same. Yeah, they're 80 questions, 4-hour tests, and they're open book. I'll touch on that in a minute too. Yep. So 80 questions on building contractor B, 4-hour open book. And then there's the A, which is the highest level. Um, if you pass this one, it's because you've been working for huge contractors, commercial contractors, and you basically could build up to, unlimited stories of commercial structure. This is 90 questions, but only 4 hours. There's no way you get through this without having a lot of experience. Most places actually won't accept or allow you to apply for licenses for the Class A, even if you somehow pass the Class A test. They won't give you a licensure unless you have a minimum 7 to 10 years of experience building these things. So keep that in mind. Residential, if that's the way you're going to go, you don't need more than a C anywhere. C is totally fine. I don't want to make it sound like that's the easier of the 3 tests. I know that Class A is going to be harder, but there is, as far as I understand it, and I could be wrong on the stats because it's been years since I've taken mine and passed. I think there's a 10% pass rate the first time for the ICC Class C test. So preparation is key. And like I was saying a minute ago, it's an open book test. That doesn't mean that you don't have to study. It doesn't mean you shouldn't know and understand, all aspects of the business. I know I've done a couple of videos on what to look for and what's required on this test and how to study and prepare for it. You can go back and check that one out. I think it's actually called How to Become a General Contractor, but it explains some of that stuff. So I won't get into too much depth here about that. But what it does tell you it's falsely telling you that, oh, I got open book, I can just sit down and just thumb through it, get the questions, and I'll be done. 1, expect to take the whole 4 hours. 2, you have to really be efficient at going through that book and knowing where to find the information they're asking for on the test. They're really testing you on the proficiency of the book as far as being able to reference it, and that's what you have to do. This book it's like that thick, and it gets thicker every single time one of them comes out. Right now, they're testing on the 2018 version. The 2021 just came out in January. It goes every 3 years. But you need to be proficient in referencing that book. A lot of it's going to be up here. A lot of the code, especially like the first third of that book, once you get to a point, it'll be up here. You don't need the book. You just know the codes. Obviously, the longer you do anything, the more you'll remember and retain. But the open book portion is because you literally can't have all that information in your head. Most people can't. And so you need to know how to proficiently reference that book for these questions to get answered. You will not pass, guaranteed, if you don't touch that book. So sorry, I got hiccups going on. I don't know what the problem is. Maybe I'm just extra dehydrated or something. But keep that in mind. Make sure you're rested. Schedule as best you can to a testing center that's close to where you live. Expect to take the whole 4 hours. Pay attention to the time. I have a friend of mine who passed the second time, who used to work for me actually, by the way. So shout out Josh, man. He's a good guy and super, super good contractor. But that being said, I mean, and he grew up in the business is actually a good example. And he ran out of time. He just simply ran out of time. He was prepared knowing he's got to be able to be proficient in the book. I helped him through a lot of the stuff. He had on the job training, getting ready as he was leaving to start his own gig. I was helping him with a lot of that stuff and references, practice exams, the whole 9 yards, but he wasn't paying attention to the clock and he thought he had more time than he did. I'm not sure exactly what happened. Apparently he didn't have a clock on the screen, which most testing centers provide. So I think what happens, he just got sidetracked and took more time than he needed and ran out of time and didn't finish the test. I don't know how many questions were left blank, but enough where he didn't pass. So he went back the second time, being more proficient and moving a little quicker, and made sure that he had a clock or a timer on the screen and he was good to go. But that's a lesson to be learned too. Just, be prepared. Even the best of the best take mostly the entire exam period. It is what it is. It's not easy, but if you've got experience and you've put your experience together and you're using the book and your employer is helping you use the book and learn how to get through it, then you're ready to go. And you should have a pretty positive experience getting through that test and passing. But again, as far as I understand it from the last information that I saw, it was like a 10% pass rate. And I think a lot of it has to do with so many people showing up thinking they don't need to understand or study. So anyway, that's step one. Then, like I said, state side of it is figure out, is it state licensure or not? And then just be prepared to pay some fees. And then you're ready to go. And you can use that license to either hang it with another builder or you can go off on your own right away. Again, locally, you should probably just check on what's required just so you don't get caught with your pants down. Hopefully that answers a few questions on the exam itself. What else can I talk about as far as like becoming that? I mean, I preach this more and more and more, but it seems like, especially recently, as people are literally changing careers and industries, that this has kind of become a thing to do. I'm not sure what all of it is, but there's more people jumping into this. They don't have very much experience. They may have a little bit from a long time ago, but they're thinking they can get in and get licensed. And I keep telling them, just go work for somebody first. Even if you did before, get back into the business, even if it's just for a year, just get familiar with it again. It's so important that you get your head wrapped around this business and understand, because you want to make sure that this is for you anyway. Let's see. I'm going to squint without using my glasses. Do you know if there are any problems for making this business with non-American partners? You mean like business partners, or exactly what are you asking? As far as like foreign investors or foreign partners in the business side? No, you have to, in order to be licensed in the United States as a general contractor, as far as ICCC, that's going to be a different licensure than like Canada. I know it's an international certificate, but our codes are different than other countries. So in order to get ICC tests and get licensed in one of the states in the United States, you have to be an American citizen, because that's one of the things you have to provide. You only need, as far as the business goes, you only need one licensed contractor in order to pull permits. And like here, in a lot of places that I know across the country, but here, like in all the building departments, they generally require a supervisor certificate and then a contractor's license on top of that. So me owning the business, I have to have both of those, but then I can have other licensed contractors under my supervisor certificates, but they still have to have the protocol of being a U.S. citizen in order to have that license here. So I'm not sure if that makes sense or not, JD, but hopefully that's what you're asking. Stand by. Business. Yeah, so that hopefully answers your question. And again, like, like I said at the very beginning, you gotta establish your boundaries and curbs for business hours and when people come in and out of things, like I'm doing right now. I got to stay on top of it. It's only 3 o'clock here, but I just wanted to get a video out too. Let's see. So engineers are from another country. They can't work or they need green card first. Engineering, same thing. Engineering and architecture, for licensure here in the States, they have to be a US citizen. Um, but like engineers and architects can be licensed in several states at once. They just have to have that licensure. So if and there's different requirements for that. I'm not as versed on as far as like engineering. If they don't have citizenship here, they can certainly apply. Or yes, I believe green card would work, but they do have to pass the PE test here. Um, Again, even though everything in this whole business says international code council and international this and that, it is separate licensure per country and per state here. So you have to be aware of that. And like I said, in every state here is going to be different. But like engineers, architects, that's a country license. So that's across the United States. And once you get licensed in one state, then you can apply for a license in another. But you have to again pass the exam for that as well. So you can be multiply licensed in states, but as far as I understand, you got to be citizen or green card. And the green card obviously is going to max out. So insurance wise and everything else, business wise, that would be questions for the platform they're applying licensure for, albeit the PE, whatever it is. Hopefully that makes sense. Oh gosh, what else? What else? What else? What else? There's lots of aspects to the test itself as far as the different categories. As a general contractor, you have to understand all of the aspects of building. Again, you don't have to be an expert in them, but you do have to know everything from soils on up. So get your experience on the job watching that transpire. And again, can you get licensed as a C class just working for a remodeling contractor and then go take your test? In theory, yes. Again, you can learn enough to pass the test, but out in the field, you're still going to be confused if you go from remodeling straight into like building brand new homes. There's a lot of pieces that you haven't had experience in yet, and you got to be careful about that. So understand that. Again, that's just going out and just either getting work under a builder or working with other contractors on joint venture deals or whatever it is, and learning learning how to do it on the job, so to speak, while you're getting paid on one aspect or another. um what else? What else can I tell you? It's not a business for the lighthearted, for sure. You're constantly running around. Organization, I've talked about this a bunch, but organization is so key. And some people are innately good at just being an organized individual. Some people, and I would actually say probably more people, are not. But you can teach yourself and you can learn how to be organized. And that's important. It's probably the most important thing to know in this business is understanding organization. And all you're really doing with organization is you're having everything laid out in a simple but effective fashion. And that's really just writing things down, keeping track of things, setting a schedule. So you're doing the same kinds of breakdown of the day at the same time every day. And sometimes that's harder. Things come up, but that's with any business. Things come up and you have to deviate from the schedule a bit, but you can always circle back to it or catch up on it, knowing the schedule's in place in front of you. And you don't have to if you're deviating from it, you don't have to come back and go, what am I supposed to be doing now? You have that out. You have the understanding of what you missed at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day, and you can go ahead and catch up on that the next day or in the afternoon or whenever it is. So there you go. It's a great business. I am currently moving away from any remodel work at this point. I'm not taking any more client work on, and we're going back into strictly doing specs and alternative construction type scenarios, but they're all going to be just based on me doing design build, working with partners, to put out some really cool products coming out here in the next year and then on forward. So super excited for that. I'm going to break now. I got to run and get a couple things done, pick up some materials, and then back in the office to wrap up my day before another meeting here in about an hour and a half. Appreciate everyone's in here or has stopped in. JD, good questions, man. If you got any more, drop them in the comments below in this video. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit the thumb. Plenty of other videos out there. Just search for them. Or if you can't find something or don't know if I've done one or not, and you've got some questions, just hit me up and I can send you in the right direction. Check out live stream every other Wednesday, Building Wealth and Health. Obviously, this channel has lots of things besides just home building, but that's the scoop today. So you guys enjoy your weekends. Have a great rest of your Friday. JG, no worries, man. I appreciate you stopping in. Anybody else out there that wants to stop in, let them know. Share the video. I really enjoy getting out information to people and helping them, especially growing in this business and real estate, just becoming entrepreneurs and kind of making your own path. I think that's really important in life in some aspect, whether it's part-time, full-time. Appreciate everything. And once again, I'm going to blow out of here and I'll probably catch you guys next week. Keep an eye on the next live stream. And until next time, guys, keep building. Later, later, later.